Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about some of the bounciest shoes that you can get. And as far as bounce goes, the bounciest cushioning setup is Zoom, right? And there's not a whole lot else that you can compare with Zoom. I mean, Zoom is just, it's a plastic bag filled with air with like very high PSI and it's super bouncy, right? And as far as like how they implement it, it can be very different in each shoe, of course. You know, it can be bottom loaded, it can be top loaded, it can be like a forefoot unit, a heel unit. The size of the Zoom unit can, you know, differ as well. There's a whole bunch of different foams too. React is one of the bounciest foams in my opinion. It's a nice rebound back, which I really like. Boom from Leaning is great. Boost, I don't know, Boost I would say is a little bit more mushier for me personally, right? It doesn't have a great rebound back or bounce back, especially comparing it to like React. I do know some people that they say that it's like more on the bouncy side of things, but you know, I would have to disagree with that, you know, just from my personal experience, like, you know, like the Ultra Boost and like, you know, basketball shoes with full length boost, it wasn't like super bouncy. I mean, there's a little bit of rebound back, you know, but it just felt more like soft, you know what I mean? But anyways, let's go over the bounciest shoes that you can get. And if you guys do want to get any of these shoes, I'll try to leave a link in the description box. But let's get it started off with any shoe that has full length Zoom strobel. And that's a lot of shoes. Nike's been giving us a lot of ball shoes with full length Zoom strobel. I'm not complaining, I absolutely love it. Sometimes it's a little much though, you know what I mean? Sometimes if I want a responsive cushioning setup, I don't really lean towards Zoom strobel. You know what I mean? Like weeks actually, like I go like a week or two, I'm like, oh, I love Zoom strobel. And then I'm like, I change a little bit. You know, I want to play something a little bit more responsive, like, I don't know, the Hardens or the Currys, you know what I mean? But that's just my personal preference, but it doesn't change the fact that Zoom strobel is super freaking bouncy, right? So shoes like the KD14, the Jordan 36, right? The Cosmic Unity. I haven't seen the Cosmic Unity on the Nike website for a while now, so probably can't get it. Maybe you might be able to get it on like eBay or something, but either way, full length Zoom strobel, it's super freaking bouncy. And of course, the KD15 is coming out soon, hopefully. It probably is, right? It has that React as well, so it might be freaking bouncy from the React, and you got that crazy bounce from the Zoom strobel unit, which I'm super excited about. But anyways, the KD14 is nice because it has that full length cush launch for the midsole, so you get a nice compression in the heel. Now, I know some people that say it's a little too soft, so you might lose a little bit of responsiveness, but for me, I had no issues with that. And then the Zoom strobel unit, you feel very, very bouncy, right? If you want something a little bit more responsive as far as the foam goes, then you should probably choose the Jordan 36 because the foam is a little bit more stiff, not as much compression. And of course, the Jordan 36 has that full-length Zoom strobel unit as well, so it's super bouncy. And then of course, we have another shoe that has full-length Zoom strobel, but it takes it to another freaking level, right? And that's the Zoom GT Jump. And this shoe is the bounciest shoe that you can get right now. It's the bounciest. You can't, there's nothing that compares to it. I guess maybe the Lebron 19, but it's a little bit different. I'll get into that a little bit. But the Zoom GT Jump, you feel that Zoom strobel unit right underneath your foot, and then you feel the other Zoom units in the heel and also in the forefoot, which gives you more freaking bounce and compression, which is absolutely insane. So yeah, if you're looking for a bouncy cushioning setup, the Zoom GT Jump is the shoe to get, right? And it's a solid performer as well. You know, support was great, traction was pretty solid too. It's not a shoe that I like pick up very often though, just because it's a little too crazy for me sometimes. You know, if I want a crazy cushioning setup and I'm feeling very, I don't know, just in the mood for it, then I will pick it. But usually I kind of stay away from it. My picks are mostly just like the KD14 or the Jordan 36 for the Zoom strobel units, right? Next, we got the Lebron 19. So that's probably the second kind of like most bounciest cushioning setup, right? But it's a little bit different just because it's not a crazy bouncy feeling right underneath your foot, which is what Zoom strobel is, right? So you got that crazy Zoom unit in the forefoot, and also you got that air unit in the heel. The air unit, I would say, is more like for compression. It doesn't have a crazy bounce back, especially comparing it to Zoom. But in the forefoot, it's more of like a springboard effect, right? So if you think of like a pool and you have that like springboard, when you're jumping on it, the wood is pretty stiff, right? So you don't feel anything very soft underneath the foot, but then that springboard is like bouncing you up. So that's kind of how the Lebron 19 feels for me. I mean, the stepping comfort isn't terrible, but you don't feel it on the level of like a Zoom strobel unit, which is the Zoom unit right underneath the foot, right? So if you want like a very springy kind of sensation, like that springboard effect, then the Lebron 19 is very bouncy, especially in the forefoot. And then toning it down from the Lebron 19, we got shoes that have a Zoom strobel unit just in the forefoot, which is the Zoom GT Run and also the Kyrie Infinity. And I would suggest just get the Kyrie Infinity. I did not like the Zoom GT Run because of how it felt, right? So the Zoom unit in the forefoot kind of like bulged up, and then like it just felt like my forefoot was higher than my heel, you know? Usually shoes have an offset where the heel is higher than your forefoot, right? That's normal. And then some shoes are a little bit more flat. But then the Zoom GT Run, the Zoom unit felt like very high, and then like my toes kind of like went up, and it just didn't feel good, right? So just because of that, I didn't really like the Zoom GT Run all too much. You know, maybe it was just my pair, I don't know. But the Kyrie Infinity, it just feels more flat, right? And then of course, you get great court feel. It feels awesome, especially in the forefoot. It's bouncy and all that. You get crazy compression. So yeah, you can't really go wrong with those shoes either. All right, so now let's move on to foams, right? So like I said in the beginning of the video, Zoom units are very, very bouncy, right? But sometimes they're a little too much. And if you want to bounce from the midsole, then I got you, right? So let's start off with the Nike PG6 with the full length React. So React is awesome. You get a nice bounce in the heel. Although it is a little bit caged, it's still nice. You know, you have a nice compression and you get a nice rebound back. It feels awesome. Stepping comfort is great as well. And impact protection, especially on heel strikes, is awesome. Another shoe that has great bounce and great foam is the Trae Young 1. The Trae Young 1 is a blend of full length light strike and you get a boost pod in the heel. Like I said, boost is a little bit more, like on the softer side of things, so it's not as bouncy as the PG6 in my opinion, especially in the heel, but you still get, it's like thick, you know what I mean? Like it's like the heel is, you're high up off the ground, and then the forefoot is a little bit lower. You definitely feel that offset, right? But the Trae Young 1 has a nice little rebound back, and also I love the light strike in the forefoot. You know, it's a very subtle kind of rebound back, like right underneath the foot, but it feels very comfortable and I like how that feels. So the Trae Young 1, I would say is more like a subtle type of bounce, but it still has a little rebound back, which is why I put it on this list for like on the foam side of things, right? Next, we got the Adidas Dame 8. It's so soft, there's so much compression that I don't like it, you know, and I like soft foams. So it's a little too crazy, but there is also a nice bounce back. It feels awesome. So yeah, just be wary of the compression just because it's a thick foam, right? And they don't really cage it all too much either. So it's a really cushy feel, you know what I mean? But you do lose responsiveness, which I don't like. But of course, in this video, we're talking about bounce, right? So the Dame 8 is very bouncy, especially in the heel. And it feels nice besides the loss in responsiveness, just in my personal opinion. All right, next we got forefoot Zoom units, but you know, kind of like toning it down from the Zoom strobel unit, right? So we got the Zoom Separate and the One Take 3. So both of these shoes have like a smaller Zoom unit in the forefoot. It's top loaded, so you can definitely feel it. It's definitely a way subtler bounce, right? But it's a nice subtle bounce. It feels very similar to the PG3. So the Zoom Separate and the One Take 3 feel awesome. But as far as the heel goes, I would say the Zoom Separate is a little bit softer. So if you want a little bit more of a softer heel, then go with the Zoom Separate. The One Take 3 is a little bit more stiff. But as far as the Zoom units go, they feel very nice in both of those shoes. All right, next we got the AG2. So that's Aaron Gordon's second signature shoe. And the foam is super soft, right? But when you're kind of like walking around, but when you start running, you know, running down the court, you get a nice bounce back from the foam in the heel, which feels awesome. And last but not least, we got the Peak New Attitude. So it's Andrew Wiggins' shoe with Peak, right? And the Peak pop-up midsole, it looks very similar to Boost, right? They're probably using similar like pellets and like heat pressing it together or whatever. But yeah, it's soft as far as the midsole goes. It's not super bouncy for the midsole, but you do feel a little rebound and a little bounce back like right underneath your foot, which feels nice for me. So it's a nice subtle bounce. Of course, it's definitely not as bouncy as, you know, like any of these Zoom units, right? But if you want a nice, like softer rebound back from the foam, then the Peak Attitude is a great option. But anyways, that about wraps it up for this video. Again, if you guys do want to cop any of these shoes, I try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.